We all misbehave sometimes. Wanna change the world, indulge in some bad behavior.
Hello and welcome to Bad Behavior, where we talk about women, activism and positive change and our journey to becoming the best, baddest bitches that we can be. I'm Rosalind.
And I'm Nicola.
And welcome!
Yes, welcome. Thanks for coming back again. We
Yes.
really appreciate it. As always, we're going to start off with a very intriguing question. Do you want to ask me, Rosalind?
Okay.
Because I like going first.
I love assertiveness in women. Okay, how have you been mad this week?
Picture this, guys. This puts me in...
Picturing it.
Okay, well, just wait until I tell you what to picture, please. This puts me in, like, business attire. Like, this is Nicola at work. Nicola...
Cannot picture it.
Excuse you. I have a job. Thank goodness. You know, that is a really integral part of a lot of people's lives because we need to make that moolah. And it's a pretty interesting job, I'll say. I don't really want to go into details. Anyways, they are very ambitious with the tasks that they get me to do.
Right.
You know, they get me to do a lot more than little old me is capable of doing in a general week.
Yeah.
So this week, I had a really firm conversation with one of my bosses about how if I was going to be having extra work, that I needed to be paid more.
You had the pay discussion.
I had the pay discussion. This was my first pay discussion that I've ever had. It was really intimidating. I was really scared and terrified to even bring it up because it's almost contorted in your head to seem like they can use that as a reason to just get rid of you.
Yeah.
So I was so scared. I was so nervous, but they reacted really favorably and it turned out
That's
fine.
really cool because I can't imagine myself doing it, which is really bad because it's a necessary part of being an adult, I think. And, you know, stats show that men are more likely to do it than women.
It certainly was hard. I was super nervous. Oh, because I was so out of my depth.
I can't even picture it. You know, not you having the discussion. I can't picture the discussion itself. Because I've never really visualized myself doing it or been told how to.
Well, when I had the discussion, there was a lot of stuttering. There was a lot of like me mincing my words because I was nervous.
Yeah.
You know, I played myself a little Beyonce before I walked in.
Did you actually? What song?
Flawless, of course, because I wanted to be a flawless bitch.
Yeah.
Look, that didn't carry through entirely. I will say I mispronounced some things.
You know, shout out to Beyonce for getting you
in that headspace. Well, basically, there you go. How have you been bad this week?
Well, my story actually involves you, which is nice.
Yay!
So it's less about me and more about us.
How beautifully poetic.
Yeah. We recently went to something that was a little bit terrifying, but also the best time ever. It was so fun, but terrifying. We went to an improv comedy. Well, it was a taster. That's what they call it.
That's what they,
to
the
try
official
it out.
name for it,
yes. And we had a blast.
It was so fun.
It was so funny because we went in and we were standing around in a circle and everyone was kind of eyeing each other like, we don't know you. Who are you? Who are these people?
Giving you the up down.
Yeah, and then we did one of those classic like get to know you games. Like, what's your favorite item of clothing? That's exactly what we did. You know, was yours a denim jacket?
No, but thanks for thinking that I'm intrinsically linked with my denim jacket. No, it was my Doc Martens.
Oh,
which, again, rarely part of my feet.
Anyway, and everyone's stories kind of came out and everyone was nervous. And then we kind of made fools of ourselves in front of strangers, threw ourselves into the experience.
It was so fun.
You were amazing at it.
You were amazing. It was such an incredible experience. And to make things even better, we were standing in the class in this circle and we were already having such a good time. And then all of a sudden, one of our best friends walks in the door And
Yeah.
he
We're like,
didn't,
what?
he didn't tell us he was coming,
Yeah.
and he just joined the
And
circle.
he looked so good too. He was wearing a really cool sweater.
Oh, he made a beautiful intro.
And he walked in a little bit late, so was like fashionably late.
Yeah.
Shout out
Thanks for
to
letting
Aiden,
us know.
by the way.
Yeah.
You know,
Shout out
thanks for
to
coming.
our pal Aiden.
And
But
we have now signed up for a term, and we're ready to take the bull by the horns and throw ourselves into the improv comedy world.
we will let you guys know how we go too. Speaking of improv, this leads into something that we really wanted to discuss this week. In Melbourne right now, there's been a huge discussion that's happened based around the murder and rape of a young woman, a young female comedian.
Eurydice Dixon was walking home and she was raped and killed in Princess Park in Melbourne. Our heart absolutely goes out to her family, but also I think that in most or many women's minds here at the moment is that it could have been us, it could have been people we know. The media did report it in a way that women need to be aware of their surroundings and they need to be constantly looking after themselves and their safety, which really shifts it away from what it should be, which is that we should absolutely not blame women. We are completely aware of our surroundings. We're all taught to be. You know, we put keys in between our knuckles.
So intrinsic, yeah.
Walk where it's light and take alternate routes. And we are thinking about that. So we need to shift the conversation. And it really brought up that for us. And we don't want to touch on it too much because it is a tragedy and it is very overwhelming. And we went to the vigil for Eurydice, and it was a non-political event, which made it so much more.
It was really touching. It was beautiful, and
10,000 people standing with candles, just having a moment to really reflect on a young life.
It was an amazing tribute to her ambition and the way that she chose to live her life.
Yeah.
And, you know, Melbourne is a city that really supports creative people, and just to be around all these, you know, incredible people paying tribute was really, it was really incredible to witness.
Yeah. We are going to talk about female comedians. We want to dedicate this to Eurydice because she was a comedian herself, and we felt like that was a great tribute and also a really good topic because there are some amazing comedians.
Some incredible comedians.
So
let's get right into
I'll
it,
start.
shall we? Yes.
My woman is called Maysoon Zayid, and she's really cool. She's a comedian from New Jersey, and she's an activist. And I actually watched a TED Talk that she did on TED Women, and you should absolutely look it up. But you know what, you probably already have, because a lot of people have seen that TED Talk, but it was so good, and it's so funny, and she's so down to earth and candid about her experience. It was really beautiful. Maysoon has cerebral palsy, and it was really interesting to hear about her life and her achievements and how she's gone about living with disability. She wanted to be an actress from quite a young age, but she found that she was held back because people wouldn't cast her because of her ethnicity, she's Arab, and because of her disability. In fact, even in high school or in college, there was a part that was given to someone who was not disabled, which was a character that had cerebral palsy. So she wasn't even given the character with her disability.
That's hard.
Because she couldn't do the stunts, was the reason. So she got into, and she's very lighthearted about that, but she got into comedy because it was a way for her to be seen, and I guess she could create the spaces for herself, because Hollywood doesn't typically cast anyone who is imperfect or a certain stereotype. Yeah. So she says, disability is as visual as race. If a wheelchair user can't play Beyonce, then Beyonce can't play a wheelchair user.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that is such a good way to put it.
Isn't that so cool? And so, so she says, you know, people with disabilities are the largest minority in the world, and they're the least represented in entertainment.
Absolutely.
So she's done so many cool things, but a lot of her platform is to talk about that issue and the way that disability is represented in media and film. She co-founded the New York Arab American Comedy Festival in 2003.
Whoa, that's amazing.
So, you know, to also highlight, you know, Arab comedians and filmmakers. She toured in a documentary called Muslims Are Coming, and they toured around the US in an effort to counter Islamophobia.
I love
which is a huge problem. And she said, you know, growing up, she wasn't tormented because she was Muslim. It wasn't until later that kind of came about. And she doesn't want people to feel sorry for her about her disability. She's gone on to do amazing things hand in hand with her experience. And her family treated her the same way that they treated her sisters. Despite her disability, they expected her to do the same things. And she wants to create spaces where there are positive images of people with disability, and that it doesn't become the be-all and end-all of characters or of people in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so she is amazing. I just love that, though. If a wheelchair user can't play Beyonce, then Beyonce can't play a wheelchair.
Well, that's just so basic that it almost raises...
It's so simple that it's like...
Yeah, it raises the question of why do people ever ignore that type of rule?
Well, I was thinking about it. And I was thinking about the Me Before You film. Do you remember that? It had
the romantic
Emilia Clarke.
one?
Yes.
Yes.
And I remember there was a huge backlash about the film because the character that's disabled was not born with a disability. He became disabled, and he was a sportsman and very active, and then he became disabled. And he's rich, he's good looking, he falls in love throughout the film, but decides to undertake assisted suicide at the end.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm sure made sense in the film. I haven't seen it.
Neither have I.
But I actually was told to boycott it by some friends who are really active in trying to get more rights and exposure for people with disability in the arts. Because the idea that someone with a disability who is rich, who is good looking, who is in love, who has the opportunity that some people don't to live a full and rich life because they can afford some of the things that could make it easier and more convenient,
Absolutely.
would then decide to end their life because of their disability, didn't seem like a very good concept to teach people or to show people, especially if they have a disability themselves. Because we shouldn't, say that you should give up because you're disabled. Absolutely not. More and more we are creating a world where they should be welcome in every setting.
It makes me think of, there is this amazing show on Netflix. I think I told you about it. Mm-hmm. It's about people dating who have disabilities.
Is it the Undateables or something?
Yes. Well, I binge watched it in so quickly because it was so incredible to see. It's a British show and it follows the people with disabilities trying to navigate the world of dating.
Right.
I mean, it's just so rewarding to see such lovely characters on screen do things that, be able to be showcased in these stories that able-bodied people get showcased in every single day.
Yeah.
And I loved it and all the...
Especially dating.
Absolutely, because it's hard to... It really showed me, the show, how difficult it is to navigate and how just being able to go out on a date is to, to people like us. We don't really think about how difficult it would be to have a disability and be able to romantically pursue someone. There's 10 more steps to being able to do something. And so I would definitely recommend that show. I think it's not talking about it in a way where, it's being seen as something comical that these people have to deal with, or they're there for our benefit to look at and be intrigued about how there's no sympathy associated. It's more like you see these characters with that film that you were just talking about. It's not based in the human condition or truth or anything that people should be reaching out towards.
We should have films that have positive images of people with disability.
Absolutely.
And, we should, when you think about it, I can't think of any of my really favourite films that have any characters with disability. No, not really. I'm trying to think. Oh, Forwardings in a Funeral, his brother is deaf, but that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. That's pretty bad.
Oh, that's shocking.
That's really... Can you think of any?
I can't think of any off the top of my head either. They don't... And
I will say I haven't sorted out, but the fact that it's not there and present is really bad. Totally.
What an incredible woman, though. I've seen her TED Talk, and
it's so good. It's so funny.
She's so funny. She's so
and
engaging.
She's so just like... She's so candid. She just says it how she sees it, and I think it's really great because it gives me another perception of what it's like, and she's really candid about the difficulty but also about the joy, and I think that's really important.
Oh, I love that. So when we were researching these, we actually did our research together, and I showed Roz this clip of the woman that I'm going to talk about, and because I wanted to show her how
It was
funny,
really funny.
how funny
It
she
was
was.
really funny.
And I was being like, who do I do? And she was like, why don't you just do her? Zoe Coombs Marr. That is my gal.
Zoe Coombs Marr.
Yeah, which is such a cool name.
Right.
So she's an Australian comedian performer. She grew up in New South Wales, performing since a very young age, since she was 15, and she's done comedy all over the world. So a lot of amazing shows in Australia, London, and New York. She's very open about being gay. She's very candid about her feminist ideals, and she is just absolutely hilarious. The type of comedy that I didn't know I needed, and then I see it being performed and I just think, God damn, this is my sense of humour. This is what I thrive off.
Yeah.
So she's a very accomplished woman. She has a double degree in performance studies and fine arts, and she does video works and sculptures too that have been shown at galleries and stuff. What a cool little side hustle, you know, like
side hustle. Yeah,
I love it. And
I'm a comedian, but I also sculpt.
so she has done a bunch of incredible shows at some really amazing theatres here. She did 2017 Wild Boar at Malthouse Theatre, a 5-woman ensemble play at Belvoir Theatre. So she's performed at all the great venues that Australia has to offer. And she has every single one.
Wow.
Every single one.
It's just every day.
There is not a
2 or 3
venue that Zoe Coombs Marr has
she does
not...
it by postcode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just ask her. This is all true. Don't question us.
That last bit was not true.
Absolutely
Disclaimer.
bullshit. Anyway, so she has this really cool show called Trigger Warning, where she performs as her comedy alter ego, which is this man called Dave.
Oh my god, she's a drag king.
She absolutely is in this show.
Yeah.
And so he is like this immense caricature of masculinity, you know.
Oh,
he
yes.
is
like Australian masculinity.
absolute bogan masculinity.
Oh,
he
my
is
gosh.
the epitome. So he's a douchebag. He has a little neck beard that she paints on. He's, you know, beer in hand, Ed Hardy shirt on. I'm picturing him right now, and it's the classic. You walk into a country pub in Australia and there's a Dave there. 100% there's a Dave there.
You say, hey Dave, and he's like, oh yeah?
G'day mate, how you going? So she's a female comedian, making jokes about being a female comedian as a male comedian through this character of Dave.
Oh wow.
So it's this meta,
what a
really,
cool commentary.
It's so amazing because he's really vulnerable too, and he's kind of cute, and you start to feel for him.
Toxic
and then
masculinity arrives alive and well.
I mean, it's so amazing how she can switch between these two characters, and it's basically you show up and you just see this Dave dude have a massive meltdown on stage. You are shocked to your wits at the
Shocked
shit
to the gills.
exactly at the shit that this man is saying, and it's all about misogyny, and she talks a lot about the popularity of feminism, like how cool and modern feminism is. Won the Barry Award in Melbourne, which is the top Melbourne Comedy Festival award. Also nominated for Edinburgh Comedy Award. Only female nominee.
Really?
So cool, right?
How many nominees are there?
8 nominees. So most recently she has a show called Bossy Bottom. Yeah, it's comedy like you've never seen it, you know?
I liked, in the clip that you showed me, she was talking about being gay. It was really cool because she flipped it, and she was making jokes about straight people as if they were gay.
I love it.
You know, I've seen loads of your movies, and like I love your culture.
Yeah, no,
it was really cool to see it because I think that a lot of the time, you know, for people who do identify as heterosexual, it might be difficult to like see how that would feel like all the time.
Yeah,
and having those little insights, especially when it's just lighthearted and able to just be kind of
so
jocular.
illuminating, right?
It is.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Most recently, she was the opening act for Alana Glazer. Yes, our fave Broad City gal. She opened for her when Alana Glazer came and performed in Melbourne. So that was incredible. How cool to be, you know, highlighted alongside such kick-ass comic. I have a little quote from her, and she says, the best stuff is when a comic says, hey, look, we all do this thing, isn't that ridiculous, and this is why, and get people to look at human behaviour and have a new perspective on themselves. I would absolutely 100% recommend watching her.
I want to go.
Yeah.
In fact, we looked up and she's playing in Brisbane. Is that right? Maybe she isn't.
She's playing somewhere. As we said, every venue ever that's ever existed.
She's probably right now on a microphone.
The show little tidbit that we really liked, she talks about mispronunciations, which I don't know.
Does she? I love mispronunciations. You know this.
I love mispronunciations.
I do this all the time.
Too. I think
in normal conversation with people I've never met before, and they just look at me like, you know that's wrong. And I look at them like, I don't know what you mean.
Exactly, and that is how comedy started.
Exactly!
I love mispronunciations. I think one of my favourite moments of my entire life is when one of my friends was reading and she read the word ashamed as Ashmed. And that is who I am as a person, you know, Ashmed.
I used to say, instead of magician, I used to say magican.
Oh God.
Because magic can. No, because I read it before I said it.
That's vaguely
it's
cute.
It's spelt magic.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I think that's very cute.
Wow. Thanks for shaming me. All right. Anyway, look, we'll put up that clip on our website and also the TED Talk from Maysoon Zayid because they are both really, really good. Definitely check it out.
Check it out, and thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Bad Behaviour.
See you next time.